In 2200 AD, scientists predicted that a comet the size of the moon was on a collision course with Earth. They were able to convince politicians to use all of their nuclear bombs to blast the comet off course. They saved humanity and nature from certain extinction. Humanity felt like a young idealist out to save the world. Scientists calculated that burning the fossil fuels that were the accumulation of 300 million years of plant growth in 300 years was like burning 2 years' growth of plants from all of the earth each second. They realized too late that the consequences was like exploding bombs. The skies turned yellow over big cities, causing many illnesses and many people to suffer and die. The solution to pollution was dilution. People continued to pollute the skies with their hungry machines. People continued to pollute the land with nitrogen through fertilizers and detergents that eventually washed down to the seas. Algae took over the seas and suffocated the rest of the sea life. In a desperate attempt to wash the excess CO2 covering Earth like a suffocating blanket, nature wept and soaked its soiled atmosphere with violent winds and rain. As the weather got worse, so did the pollution. Despite the yellow skies over cities and the dying seas, people chose to continue to burn fossil fuels and pollute the air because it was cheaper. By the time the fuel supplies were so low as to make it too expensive to burn, it was too late. The atmosphere turned thick and started to suffocate nature. The planet Earth and its life moaned and complained like a sick, dying man. Weather patterns became more and more erratic, extreme, and hard to predict. Scientists tried in many desperate ways to counteract global warming by seeding the sky with chemicals, but just ended up aggravating the situation. The amount, frequency, and brutality of natural disasters increased with each generation. Earthquakes caused parts of continents to sink underwater. Floods covered the deserts, and droughts caused new deserts to form where jungles were before. Crops grown to feed the people and their machines got diseased and died, and these crops were centralized. Over 1 billion people died of starvation. Machines ground to a stop. The rate of autism greatly increased to epidemic proportions. Scientists were unable to find out the main cause as there were too many possibilities, from vaccinations to cell phones and to the implanted chips. The search for the cause of autism was futile, but it greatly increased the study of mind. The autistics seemed to have concentrated brain power in well-defined and detectable parts of their brain. More and more people were seen to be not only emotionally sick, but emotionally dead. Scientists realized that nature was too sick to fix. In their acquired knowledge of trying to fix her, they started to replace her with machines and factories, just as they were replacing defective organs in humans with machines. Nature was complaining like a dying man. Large centralized nuclear generating plants were set up all over the world as a replacement fuel to feed the hungry machines. The earth rebelled and tore the power transmission lines down with earthquakes and hurricanes faster than man and machines were able to repair them. The large centralized nuclear generators became many smaller distributed ones. Man would not let nature beat him. The machines reproduced and spread like dandelions. Despite the drastic decrease of population, the number of machines drastically increased. The constant rebuilding after each natural cataclysm caused man to need more and more machines, needing more and more fuel. It was like a vicious circle spinning out of control and turning into a runaway chain reaction. Within a few generations, each city had their own nuclear power generator the size of a villa. Soon companies had their own nuclear generators the size of small houses. As the generators increased in number, they decreased in size. When they became mass-produced, they drastically decreased in cost. Within a generation, most homes had a nuclear generator the size of a car battery. They were called nuclear batteries, and all cars had them. Some greedy businessman thought that he could make much money and developed a small mobile nuclear generator using nanotechnology. It was a nuclear battery that supplied all the power needed by a person for 100 years. It was the size of a Rolex watch. Worn as jewelry, it became a status symbol. Your children inherited your battery when you died, just like they inherited your expensive jewelry. A few fundamental Muslims with home-made nuclear weapons made from their nuclear batteries terrorized a few of the richest and most greedy, exploiting Jews living amongst the many exploited Christians. Many innocent Christians were killed. Christian nations retaliated by bombing and killing many innocent Muslims with atomic bombs. Muslims retaliated with their homemade nuclear weapons and began a religious war in the name of their God. They forgot that their God and their enemy's God was one and the same, having a different name. The resulting nuclear world war devastated the planet. Humanity and nature suffered greatly. Most Muslims and Christians died, but most Jews survived in their old land, Judea. The UN, a world government of all countries, was moved from America to Judea a few centuries before and was spared a nuclear holocaust. Most people, like the Asians who lived far enough away and who did not have any gods to defend or fight for, survived to later thrive. For many generations, people lived in peace and prospered in knowledge. Knowledge was all there was left. The survivors of the war were like vultures waiting for the spoils of battle.